Hello everyone, this is Tare. Today I would like to read out loud one of my fanfic. I hope you can enjoy it and I apologize in advance for any mispronunciation. Okay, this fanfic is written by me. The title is Secrets, Secrets. Summary: the Forgers have been together for a year. In his desire to celebrate their first anniversary for being a family, Lloyd snatched a rare opportunity within his proximity and took his wife and daughter to a gala dinner. A simple gratitude gesture that unfortunately led them spilling their secrets. All of them. They were attending a gala dinner in one prestigious restaurant in Berlin City. Said restaurant was rumored to serve the best of everything. Every high-class society would not complain about the queue for months to be able to eat there. So it's fitting for me to snatch the opportunity and let my family have a taste of what 3 Michelin star restaurant dishes are. Lloyd kept telling himself that it was all aligned with the mission. All of them would gain knowledge about experiences should they ever need to engage in conversation with some higher ups. It was definitely not a deceit if he didn't report the dining invitation he got from the target's hand after he cleaned up one of the Gretcher family, or what was remains of the family associates. The person would need it every he wouldn't need it every anyway. He had gone to a better place, and in doing so, well, Twilight made the world a better place too. Besides, let's just say this is a reward for Anya and Yor and me, having done the mission for a year without noticeable disruption and slow progress whatsoever. And here they were, all clad in their formal attire, and unfortunately, all were slack-jawed at the prestige vibes the place was giving. This restaurant had a habit of changing its location every time. This time, it chose to turn on an abandoned storage by the river and magically turn it into a prestigious dining place under the bright full moon. And they will serve a full set menu consisting of 17 meals. Truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Lloyd regained his composure and led the ladies to follow the usher to sit at their designated place. Wow, this place is amazing, Lloyd. Are you sure it's okay for us to be here? Yor asked nervously. Nothing for the best for my family, Lloyd calmly answered her. Wow, cool. So many plates, glasses, cutlery. Do they have peanuts? Anya asked enthusiastically. Cutlery. Calm down. Don't break anything, and of course they have peanuts, Lloyd answered and warned the little kid. The meal that soon came was so delicately prepared and really delicious. They enjoyed the meal very much as well as the environment around them. Lloyd noticed that the sky was clean and the moon and stars were shining at their brightest, and the view from there above blended perfectly with the decoration, the music ambience, and even matched the way their meal was prepared. The blond man was truly amazed. Curious, he glanced at his wife, who, unsurprisingly, was more mesmerized by the cutlery being used. But at least she seemed to enjoy the meal too. The portion was so small. Why is it so small, Pa? Asked the daughter, who cooked each meal in one gulp. Behaved, Anya. It's small because we have 17 meals to go. I much prefer the buffet at this cruise buffet, and it's important to try different kinds of dining experience for we. Suddenly the kid coughed after trying to swallow the egg as a whole. Anya! Yor gave her back a few soft slaps and then gave the kid water to help her swallow the food. Eat slowly, Lloyd sighed and moved his hand to let the waiters take the empty plate. The special dessert? I'll just follow the menu, thank you. Lloyd dismissed the waiter, but he noticed the waiter gave him a look before nodding and continuing with their course. They were now eating the sorbets, And before the daughter got the thing, Lloyd warned her. Eat slowly, Anya. This is very cold. So good. Lloyd smiled when finally the kid followed his advice. Yes, the meal have been wonderful, Lloyd. I'm glad you enjoyed the experience, Yor. I was afraid it was not good enough. Not good enough? Lloyd, I'm afraid this is too much. You don't like it? His wife flustered. I I like it, of course, but I don't think you deserve everything, Yor. Especially after all you've done. Please, give yourself some credit and let me pamper my wife. Lloyd gave her the most reassuring smile. When she blushed, slyly smiling back, and continued with her meal, Lloyd felt his heart swell with satisfaction. That didn't last long though, because he sensed the stare coming from his side. What? He felt heat spreading in his face. Nothing, came the answer from his daughter, who continued to eat with a knowing smile. He shook his head, and once again the waiter came and asked him, "The special meal, sir?" "No, thank you." The waiter nodded again and left their table. Suddenly, a man took a seat in the one remaining empty seat of their table and addressed him. "Good evening, Mr. Mayor." Lloyd stiffened at the greeting, immediately recognizing the name as his late target's. "Pardon for the interruption, but I can't help myself. It's been so long since we've met." The man was cheerfully trying to make a conversation. Too cheerful. Lloyd's brain gears started to rotate at high speed. His latest mission was to prevent a transaction of a newly developed drug and snatch said drug to be further analyzed by Wise. He didn't have any information regarding where or when the transaction might be held, but by the appearance of this man right here, and by the weird way Waiter had been asking the questions, clearly the transaction should happen right here, right now. Obviously, nobody would suspect a transaction happened in the middle of a prestigious dining. He mentally scolded himself for being so careless, and more so, brought his whole family into this trouble. Never took an invitation from a dead man's hand toilet, ever! He need to take this man outside and eliminate this danger as soon as possible. Is that? The spy tried to follow with the flow of conversation, but he was cut. "Excuse me, sir. Perhaps you might have mistaken my husband for someone else. His name is Lloyd Forger." Lloyd tried to give a warning look at Yor, who only smiled and tilted her head in confusion. Oui, is that so?" The man smirked, and Lloyd could feel a hard thing being pressed to his thigh under the table, a muzzle of a pistol. "Did you change your name after you got married and left the creature?" Lloyd noticed the finger of his wife twitch, and her demeanor changed. It's not a surprising thing. He had known Yor as someone very observant and had a great sense of justice. She must have sensed the pinch Lloyd was currently in and might try to help him right away. But this guy was a dangerous fellow who was most likely knee-deep into the underworld, not everyday thugs. As once again, Lloyd gave her a warning look, and then he glanced at Anya, who, unsurprisingly, also had become very tense. No doubt the kid understood the situation, being the perceptive girl she was. "Say, why don't we talk outside? Don't want to disturb other customer with our ketchup, do we?" The blonde man smiled at the acquaintance. "Sure, why not?" Both men then stood. Lloyd felt the fellow grip his shoulder as he was giving a friendly hold, and felt the muzzle being pressed at his back. The blond man took a glance at his family and whispered, "Just stay here." "Lloyd?" He noticed how Yor eyed them warily and told them, "I won't be long. Yor, please stay there and keep Anya safe." He hoped Yor or Anya would understand his hidden message somehow. "Yeah, just for a moment. It will be fun, right?" The man shook his shoulder and cheerfully led the spy towards the exit. During their walk, however, Lloyd noticed the atmosphere of the place suddenly altered. How all the people who were eating became very still. Oh no. Just in a blink of an eye, everything turned into chaos. Lloyd noticed someone on his left suddenly stood up and aimed a gun at them. His captor noticed this too. Taking advantage of the second distraction, the blond man twisted his body and used his elbow to leverage a gun aimed at his torso. In an instant, he had positioned himself behind the captor and used him as his human shield to block several bullets. The spy expected to hear lots of screams, but that didn't happen. On the contrary, all at once, the people at the gala sprang to actions. Several start shooting, several start to fight one another, several start to come at him while several others try to block them. Who was which side or whether all of them targeting him didn't matter to Lloyd because his mind was full of concern for his family, whom he desperately tried to locate amidst all the chaos. Lucky for him, it didn't take long to locate them around their previous position. Yoroli flipped the table as a makeshift shield and was throwing cutlass or simply used her martial arts skill to knock down people coming at her, while carrying and shielding Anya from danger. And she does that in dress and heels. Wow. Wait, not the time, dang it! As if sensing him, the red eyes found his blue one. He nodded and shot the main electrical panel, turning the place as dark as possible. Lloyd took advantage of the sudden darkness to run and get close to his family. Alas, the sudden jolt of pain in his right thigh made him slip and fall headfirst to the floor. Grunting in pain, he tried his best to stand up and was glad when he heard Anya's voice so close to him. Papa! Before long, he felt his daughter's hands on his left arm, and soon followed by Lloyd, the strong arms of his wife at his right, already pulling him to stand up. The wife then moved his arm to circle her shoulder and start lifting him somewhere. Mama, to the left! The blond man noticed that they took refuge at the bar island, which was constructed with solid boards at its four sides and located not too far from the exit. Yor let him sit at the floor, ripped the lower half of the dress, and after adding a folded napkin, bandaged his bleeding wounds. He mentally took note to replace that damage later. Are you guys alright? He asked them, while sensing Anya snugged closely that he could feel her trembling. The father then rubbed her arms to ease the fear. We're leaving and running at least. Just what is going on? Yor looked at his eyes and asked for an honest answer, a thing that Lloyd wasn't sure whether he could give her or not. He chose the safe answer. I'll explain later. We need to get out of here first. Mama! Suddenly the kid exclaimed and pointed to the shadow of someone's head at his wife's back, which made Yor immediately react by smashing the shadow with some liquor bottle, knocking him out. The gun one held by a man dropped near her foot. Papa! Anya pointed to his right side and Lloyd exclaimed, Gun! Use the gun, Yor! Yor took the gun and threw it. The gun's barrel slammed the guy's head so hard it knocked him out immediately. The force bounced the gun back near Lloyd's leg. Why would you throw a gun? Lloyd whispered to his wife and slid on his bottom to take the gun himself. How else am I supposed to use it? Shoot it? I don't know how to shoot a gun, his wife yelled back, while taking dinner knives and start throwing them to the approaching shadows. But you know how to throw cutleries? It's my household skills. Lloyd gawked at her lousy reasons and shot several other approaching shadows. Fine, just give the gun to me then. And why does a doctor know how to shoot a gun? It's my survival skills. This time, it's Lloyd's turn to try to avoid the disbelieving look of his wife. Papa, Mama, please! Anya screamed at both of them. Luckily, their daughter's distraught shout was enough to put the parents' priority on track. Yor narrowed her eyes. Okay, then, I'll give you the guns. She then jumped out from the bar island. Yor, what are you doing? Lloyd tried to call her in disbelief. Mama will be fine, Papa. Now two incoming from the left. Anya tugged at his shirt, and true to her say, two shadows emerged from the left. Lloyd took them down in an instant. Three from the front, and Lloyd again took them down. Puzzled, the father finally asked his daughter, How do you know all of this? Suddenly he heard his wife scream somewhere, and the man tried to stand up. I can read minds, yours included. And by the way, somebody managed to hit Mama, but she's fine, she's on our far right. The kid's voice somehow sounds confident despite the tremble grip of hers at his shirt. Lloyd's jaw dropped at the revelation. Guns coming from your right? And he heard the clacking of metal sliding to his plate. For heaven's sake, yours, stop throwing guns, he yelled at his wife, but took the guns anyway and started shooting his target with the help of his daughter's direction. It didn't take long for the Forger parents to eliminate every attendee of the gala, who Lloyd didn't bother to find out about their identities. Soon they could hear the police siren approaching, since all of them clearly had another persona which made them reluctant to explain a thing to the police. They immediately fled the place. Yor let Lloyd lean on her, and he navigated their way through back alleys, and Anya helped him to avoid bumping to any person. They were halfway through when Lloyd realized Anya got tired from having to use her ability continuously, so before her gait wobbled, the man gently picked her up. That's enough, Anya. Don't push yourself too much, he whispered gently as the kid snuggled tiredly at the crook of his neck. The man then turned his attention to his wife, who had been silent the whole time. He took notice at the cut at her temple, whose blood started to cake. You okay? Let's just get home as soon as possible. Lloyd nodded at her short answer. She has every right to be upset. I need to come clear. They then continue walk or limp home. As soon as they arrived at their apartment, Lloyd nudged Anya away before putting her down at the room's door. He asked her to at least change her dirty clothes before going to bed. Yor then led him into his own room, helped him to sit at the bed, then hurriedly left the room to take several things. Soon, she returned with the first aid kits, several towels, a bag of herbs, and a bowl of warm water and a washcloth. She hand-hipped the towel and asked, Can you take the pants off, or should I just... She awkwardly clenched both of her hands and made a gesture of pulling apart. No need to repeat. I can take it off. Lloyd then spread the towels to cover his manly area and felt his face heat when he unclasped the belt and slid down the pants. He thanked his wife for sparing him and head facing the other way of the room. Okay, I'm done. Yor then took a seat at his side and started inspecting his wounds. She worked swiftly. Lucky for him, the shot was through and through, and somehow had missed the great arteries and bones. All Yor had to do was to clean the wounds, ligate smaller veins, and suture the wound close. Silence was killing him though, and thus he tried to start a conversation. I'm sorry that our dining experience turned into this. What has actually happened? Lo thought about the best way to explain. Well, I might at my recent job. He then took a deep breath and decided it was time he addressed the elephant in the room. I'm actually a spy. He nodded, and it looks like I can read minds. He nodded again. Apparently, Yor managed to connect the dots by herself and somehow managed to not freak out or be upset about all of it. He should have give her credits for doing that. So he continued carefully. And you are? I clean things, he answered, while still focusing on suturing his wound. By orders. Lloyd nodded again. So, of all things possible, his wife turned out to be those who were considered the urban legend. Suddenly, he remembered the information Frankie gave him months ago, and he dared himself to ask. Garden? The twitch of her fingers confirmed it for him. Oh, wow, I'm in deep shit. Lloyd closed his eyes, leaned his head, and took a long, deep breath. Suddenly, he felt his head start to pound, as he had no idea how to react to such this new information. I'm sorry. The man snapped open his eyes when he heard his wife whisper. I'll pack my belongings. It will be as if we have never met. What? Why? What are you talking about? I'm dangerous. He now could see her hands start to shake while cleaning his wounds. Oh no, she freaked out. Yor, calm down. You don't have to go anywhere. This is your home. But you, me, I can. No, Yor, look at me. She then grabbed her arms and forced us to look at him. Don't freak out. I'm not freaking out. Her voice noticeably started to increase. Then what? Are you upset? Lloyd unconsciously matched her increasing tones. I'm definitely not upset, she answered him while slapping the herb's remedy to his wound. Ow! Lloyd howled at the sudden sting at his thigh and yelled, You definitely look upset. I'm not, she yelled at Viking back and started to bandage the wound. How can you be so calm? But I'm not. Papa, Mama, enough! Both adults stopped their yelling contest and with heaved shoulders they turned their attention to the daughter at the door. Sorry, Anya. Yor looked down ashamed. Anya, you better go to sleep now, Lloyd said with the softer tone he could muster. We still have something to discuss. We are? His wife puzzled turned to him. Yes? Lloyd tried to ask her question via his eyes. Papa, Mama, you guys realize that I can hear your thoughts, right? Both parents stiffened at this. Anya sighed. Papa, you need to stop making Mama more confused. Lloyd furrowed his brow when he heard the kid address their mother. Mama, Papa doesn't want you to leave because he likes you so much. Anya! He felt his face start to hit. And Papa, Mama is just afraid to see you get hurt because she also likes you very much. Lloyd noticed his wife flinch and averted her face to look at the opposite side of him. The kid then pointed to their hound, who apparently sat faithfully behind her. And Bon can see the future. What? Both parents exclaimed. The hound woofed as if he was affirming the statement. Suddenly his head pounded even more. Apparently, this fake family he made had so many secrets that he really had no idea how to respond to that much information at once. And his daughter sobs, making stops thinking and focus all his attention to her. I just want a family to love me. Anya, Yor was by her side at once, hugged her and stroked her hair. Dear, we do love you. You know that, don't you? The kid nodded and asked, So will you guys stay? Will you guys stay? Of course, his wife immediately answered, and he nodded his head to back her up. The girl sniffed and asked further, Then can I sleep with both of you tonight? Lloyd looked at his wife, who looked back at him. After a split second of consideration, the man answered while patting the space beside him. Of course. Anya then climbed to the bed and snuggled close to him, while Bon found himself a spot at the corner of the room. He saw Yor stood up and opened his closet, taking out a pair of nightshirt and shorts before handing them to him. Need help or I can manage? Thank you. Sinod cleaned the remnants of the first aid kits and started to head outside. I'll go get change. Lloyd turned around and sat at the edge of his bed. He then slowly changed his dirty suits into nightshirts and shorts and used the washcloth his wife has prepared for him to clean himself as best as he could. Satisfied, he lay down and pulled a blanket to cover his lower body and eyes. Papa, I want to be with you and Mama forever. He smiled when he heard his daughter whisper sleepily. The father caressed her hair and whispered back, I know, and I feel the same. Now you better have some rest. He continued to stroke her back, and not long after, he could hear soft snores come from her. He smiled. At least one of us will have a decent rest tonight. Lloyd then heard Yor cleared her throat. He lifted up his gaze to find her already in her nightgown and fidgeting at the door. He also took notice that he already attended at the cut at her temple. Should I? Or I'll just... She nervously pointed with her thumb to the direction to her room. His smile got wider. After what just happened, I will feel safer if you sleep here. He pat the other side of his bed, then with a hit face he added immediately, Of course, if you don't mind. You're not. With the face as crimson as her eyes, she walked to the other side of the bed, slid inside the blanket, and lied down. Both of them now looked up at the ceiling. Despite having Anya sleeping between them, Lloyd found his heartbeat start to increase, which has nothing to do with him enduring the pain of the wood. Is that true? Suddenly he heard a soft whisper coming from his wife, and he asked, Which one? What Anya said about you. The blond man found himself grinned and with certainty whispered back, Yeah. He then glanced at his side. And what about you? He could hear her gulp before softly answered, Yes. The man found himself grinning so wide despite his predicament. He then dared to snake his hand to find his wife's under the blanket and intertwined their fingers at once when he found it. As he felt her, she tightened her grip around his. Somehow she managed to widen his smile even further. He shifted and looked at her. You won't leave me, will you? Your turned and looked back at him. I don't want to. I'm glad. But what will we do about this? She frowned. Lloyd rubbed his thumb on her knuckles. We will figure it out. Somehow. She nodded. Let's just try to get some sleep first, shall we? Yor nodded again. Shifted and closed her eyes, as Lloyd did so too. Despite all his worries, slowly but surely, the warmth at his side managed to calm Lloyd's mind, and the man finally drifted into slumberland peacefully. The same happened to Yor, and neither parents realized the big smile forming in the daughter's face as the kid latched their intertwined hands with her own. The end. Thank you for listening, and once again I apologize for any mispronunciation. Bye bye.